Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time we've got the pleasure of watching SonOfStraxx playing in his Tier 6 Soviet heavy tank, a fan favourite, the KV-2. Now it's been a couple of years since I put a KV-2 replay up on this channel, and you know what, a couple of years too long. This is certainly one of my favourite vehicles to go to when, you know, everything is going wrong in World of Tanks. You're either playing badly, the enemy team is playing too good, maybe you've just got a horrific team. Well, you know what, go and get yourself into this horrifically derpy Tier 6 Soviet heavy tank, and frankly, all of your worries go away. And if not, at least you can blame Serb for not getting lucky with your shots. So this tank is also a hell of a lot of fun to play in a platoon, I should add. If you can get 3 of these in a platoon and just derp around and try and time in your reloads, it is truly hilarious. Now, this tank uses 152mm main armament, which is, well, obviously you've got a choice to not use the derpy gun. You can choose to use 107mm, but for me, the 152mm that SonOfStraxx decides to use on this vehicle is the most fun. And that's because these high explosive shells have got 910 alpha damage if you manage to penetrate the enemy vehicle with its 86mm of penetration. And even if you don't, that is still going to do a large amount of damage to your opponents, even heavily armored ones. You can fire this at, for example, E75s, although you're never going to meet one in an with this unless you sign up in a fail platoon. Maybe a better example is like a T32. You could fire it probably a T32 turret or a T32 hull and still do kind of about maybe 200, 300 damage. Upwards if you are lucky without even having to penetrate. And when you shoot at little tanks like this Marder 38T, yep, that's all of his health gone. Now, SonOfStraxx manages to get hit from above. He's taken 2 hits so far from an enemy T67, and I think he's had enough of that little pesky Tier 5 American turreted tank destroyer taking shots at him, so he blind fires and one-shots that T67. How outrageous! The stat padding has been denied. Rebalanced by the KV-2. How absolutely ridiculous was that shot? I have no idea how he predicted that that T67 would be there. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to take a swing with the KV-2, and it looks like it certainly was his day. We've barely got enough time to talk that through before he secures another kill, his 3rd of the game, one-shotting a Tier 4 German tank destroyer, the Hetzer. That's the 2nd variant of a Tier 4 German tank destroyer that he's one-shot. Unfortunately, he's starting to get hit by high explosive rounds from the artillery, but he slides his way down the slope, putting a round into the side of the Churchill one there, that Tier 5 British heavy tank. No more, and gosh, 3 minutes into this game, you know what I'm talking about, right? The whole of your team has managed to get themselves killed. And that's probably why this is a 36%er, right, guys? And there are still some very good players on the enemy team. Well, one less than there was at the beginning that he's going to have to take out. But, you know what? When you're playing the KV-2, it doesn't even really matter, because even when I'm losing, I'm generally still having fun in this tank. Apart from those times where that 0.6 accuracy does fully troll you, and you end up missing your shells, and there's no fun in that. But when you do hit, and when things start to go well, as SonOfStraxx is going to show here, surely momentum turns to be on your favor. And gosh, momentum, Cromwell Berlin. Tier 6 British premium medium tank. One shot, 750 damage to that Cromwell Berlin. He must have been going at about 60 kilometers there. But that doesn't matter. He's shut down, demolished, and feasted upon by the KV-2, who now hungers for some American Hellcat. The Hellcat looks like he misses, and that's probably the last shell he's going to fire all game. Another one on the move going down slope. SonOfStraxx is rolling like a bulldozer right now through the enemy team. And I should have really mentioned that it was him and this KV-85 pretty much versus about 8 tanks on the enemy team there. T-34-85, a Tier 6 Soviet medium tank. No more, 547 damage done to him. And so now him and the KV-85 have turned, I think they're 2 versus 8, now into a 2 versus 5, which then the artillery turns into a 1 versus 5, meaning that SonOfStraxx is in contention for a Kolobanov's medal. The artillery narrowly missing his tank. Gosh, I hate FV-304s on the enemy team. Their fantastic shell trajectory means that they can pretty much loop shells over those mountains. So even where he is now, he might not be safe if the FV-304 positions himself here, or alternatively here, right at the end of his 500-meter range. Obviously, those tanks do have to make themselves vulnerable, and you're only pretty much about 50 or 100 meters away from spotting them if they're able to hit you. Good night, Coventer. He probably should have been a little bit more careful there. Shutting down the tier for British light tank on the enemy team. Now, right now, SonOfStraxx has kind of got himself into a very good position here, but we can't even talk about that right now because there's a Nashorn on the enemy team, a tier 6 German tank destroyer that's got paper-thin armor. If the KV-2 even gets a whiff of its hull, it's very likely to be able to take it out in a single shot. And that's because it's got 600 hit points. How ridiculous is that vehicle that you can be pretty sure that you're going to one-shot an equal-tiered tank on the enemy team with a single shell? Well, actually, the 86mm of penetration of the KV-2 doesn't manage to go through the armor there, maybe hitting the gun, but still splashes him for 377 damage, and now he's got to reload. The reload on this tank is rather long. Without any kind of modifications, you are going to be reloading for about 20 seconds in this vehicle. Actually, 20 seconds with modifications. But gosh, he manages to avoid the Nashorn there and shuts him down. To be exact, the reload time without any crew skills, without gun rammer, without vents, those kind of things, is 24 seconds to be exact with this 152mm. But when you start to have an experienced crew, very likely that SonOfStraxx has on this tank, as he's got 2 marks of excellence. Looks like he's been around with his KV-2 and he certainly enjoys it. Then you start to get the reload to below 20 seconds. But it does feel rather awkward to still have to survive to be able to put another one in. So quite often that can make, but that's if they survive the first shell, right, to be able to live to face another hit from this 152mm. So now there's a Churchill 7 making his way around the corner, a tier 6 British heavy tank. Looks like he gets tracked and the Churchill is not deciding to want to advance in the KV-2 to take another round. Now right now the enemy team are making the age-old mistake of going in one by one by one. The Churchill actually manages to track SonOfStraxx there, locking him in place, and he misses his shell, hitting the wall and or the edge of the building. An absolute disaster there. He had all the time in the world to be able to put a hit into the Churchill there. Luckily for him though, the Churchill only manages to penetrate a single shell. It looks like he's just staying completely still. I have no idea if this is a bot on the enemy team. It might be a bot, or alternatively just a very new player. But SonOfStraxx, sorry, why do I keep saying sound? SonOfStraxx has definitely earned his way to this position, having killed most of, well, all of the very experienced players on the enemy team. And maybe the Churchill is just waiting for his artillery, which are very mobile, to be able to help him out. So now on 9 kills, unfortunately he loses a bit more health there, 132, and his fuel tanks. So that means that he is very vulnerable now to be setting on fire, and he's going to have to be quick on his 4 key if he wants to set it out. The KV-2 is quite prone to fires, but I still forego them to be able to use, I think, the improved combat rations or just regular combat rations in this tank. So, no sooner that he takes out the Churchill 7 on the enemy team, now he's faced with a new threat, the FV-304. This very fast, sneaky British tank destroyer looks like he's going to get the jump on SonOfStraxx. Will he be able to finish him off in a single shot? Oh, not even close. 99 damage done. And so that allows Son to reload his gun and get out the tier 6 British self-propelled gun. Very happy that FV-304 is taken out. Really one of my least favorite vehicles to be facing in the game. So what an incredible round here. 11 kills, turning his 1 versus 5 into a 1 versus 1. The M37 on the enemy team does have a kill, so it's likely that he's not going to be AFK. He's going to have to watch out for him, and he's certainly not AFK as we hear the M37 take a blind shot at SonOfStraxx there. So in this kind of a situation, it's rather awkward. He's not the fastest of tanks. Fair enough, he's got a 35 km/h top speed limit, but the poor engine power, to be exact, 11.37 power to weight ratio on this tank, and rather poor terrain resistances mean that the KV-2 will really struggle to be able to find that M37. What I should say is that to go and find the M37, he risks not being able to get back to his base in time. So when you're in these 1 versus 1s against tanks which are more mobile than you, it does feel very awkward. And it looks like SonOfStraxx has decided that the M37 is coming from the north, and so he wants to go back to base to try and pick up the ambush. 5 minutes left on the game. He has more than enough time to work it around, and just you've got to put yourself into the mind of the enemy player right now. And if I was the M37, what would I be doing? Well, if I was the M37, I would probably be situating myself around here, maybe trying to set up an ambush, trying to wait for the KV-2 to trundle his way along the center of the map, and then take a shot at him, and then pull back, and maybe try and pull back over here to be able to get another bush. Alternatively, go over into the bush over here to be able to wait for the KV-2 to get inside the cap circle, or alternatively be waiting up here to provide an ambush. You know, there are so many options for the self-propelled gun. And on fjords there are a lot of different bushes that he could be hiding in. And so the best thing that you can be doing is just to keep on moving. And luckily, I believe SonOfStraxx does have 6th sense, so at least that will give him a little bit of an advantage if he does get spotted. But, you know, the KV-2, really, really poor view range on this tank, 330 meters. It's just absolutely horrific. And so he's got to watch out for that. Even if you've got very good crew skills and you try and boost up the view range as much as possible, it still isn't very good, as we can see by the dynamic ring on the map here. And so he's not going to be able to see that M37. We hear the M37 still taking more blind shots at where he thinks SonOfStraxx might be. But he's really not going to see the M37 before he gets spotted, especially if the M37 is deciding to use a bush, or alternatively, you know, lots of artilleries at low tiers, and even some at high tiers, like to use either coated optics or more likely binoculars, and that would allow him to get the jump. So maybe SonOfStraxx was thinking in the same way that I was, and he went up here to perhaps where the artillery might be either trundling past or alternatively trying to set up an ambush. And so I guess what he's trying to do right now is establish the different positions that he could possibly be in, and then slowly try to eliminate them as he makes his way on towards the base. However, with 3 minutes left on the game, and remember he needs 1 minute and 40 seconds exactly to cap it out, and there's no guarantee that he's going to be able to find the M37 on the enemy team, he decides to make his way towards the enemy base. Now with 1 minute and 10 seconds to get there, that should be enough time, considering that the KV-2 is going to be able to build quite a lot of momentum as it goes down slope. Remember, while its power to weight ratio isn't great and its ground resistance is rather poor, when this thing starts to go down slope, it does pick up quite a nice speed up to its 35 km/h top speed limit. So right now, SonOfStraxx is about to start to walk into possible death. I absolutely hate going into these positions on fjords. The artillery could be on the left, the artillery could be on the right. Alternatively, the artillery could be directly in front of you. So 6th sense here is a very important aspect to have. I'm sure he's just waiting. Got 11 kills, 4,297 damage that we've seen, because remember, he one-shot that unspotted T-67. I'm sure he wants to take this one down and secure the Kolobanov's medal. World of Tanks warns him that there are 2 minutes left on the game, and it's time to pull the finger out and do something. Where is this artillery? This is all very tense right now. Is he going to be just over this ridge? Do you know what? SonOfStraxx has decided to go all in right now. He can no longer get to the cap circle in time. But luckily, he spots the M37, who decides to turn his gun around. Who's going to be able to get their gun down first? Luckily, the KV-2 has got 7 degrees of gun depression, and that is enough to one-shot the remaining self-propelled gun on the enemy team, picking up his 12th kill of this round, and the one that everyone wants, the Kolobanov's medal. So big, dumb, and tons of fun. SonOfStraxx certainly used the KV-2 to its full potential here, showcasing why it is just my go-to tank when everything maybe gets a little bit too much in World of Tanks. And trust me, there is nothing quite like this vehicle for just taking out all of that frustration, or maybe just having a jolly good laugh at mid-tier. So what an absolutely monstrous double here for SonOfStraxx, who was not using a premium account this game, but still managed to get 4,714 experience points for his Pools medal, for destroying between 10 and 13 of the enemy team. Unsurprisingly, a high caliber, and boy, what a high caliber this was. 4,837 damage. That's over 10 times what anyone else on his team was able to do. and I expect double what the rest of his team were able to do combined, as well as the Steel Wall medal, and as I mentioned, the one that everyone wants, the Karl Banov's medal for standing alone against at least 5 opponents. One thing that's also great about the KV-2 is its credit making potential. Its ammunition is not that expensive when you consider the caliber of the shell, and even without a premium account, SonOfStraxx was able to make 33,000 credits profit for this monster round. So SonOfStraxx, thank you so much for uploading this on replays.QuickyBaby.com, and I just checked and it's the highest experience that anyone has ever uploaded in a KV-2. That's absolutely monstrous. And I'm going to be sending you one of my bonus codes from Tankfest. It's got an Excelsior, a garage slot, and some premium time on there for you, buddy. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video as well. If you did, please consider giving it a like. It really helps the channel out. And if you want to see more monstrous KV-2 action, then simply click through up here or use that more info icon in the top right hand corner of your screen to see what happens when the KV-2 tries to become King of the Hill. And also just a heads up that tonight on the live stream I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. For the first 2 hours I'm going to fulfill one of your most requested features. That is low tier gameplay. So for the first couple of hours I'm going to be derping it around between tiers 1 and tier 5. I'm also going to be playing with my wife at the same time in a platoon, Pepperdy, as well as I believe the newest wargaming community coordinator, Cinder, who has literally just got into World of Tanks. So it might be a good feature for all of you new players out there. And so you can find that on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby pretty much right now. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.